So for the today lectures, as I mentioned, we have two of our colleagues. We have Associate Professor Catalin Vrabie, who is from the National University of Political Science, Studies and Public Administration from Bucharest, and his thematic is Education 5.0, AI and Gamification Tools for Increasing Student Engagement and Knowledge Retention. Our second co-presenter for today's virtual lectures is Valentina Rusu, who is a researcher within the Institute of Interdisciplinary Research. And her thematic for today's presentation is being a sustainable entrepreneur as pillar of innovation. So what I mentioned previously, the presentation should be around 25-30 minutes in length. And afterwards, we'll have a short questions and answer session from our two presenters. Before we start, at the end of the presentation, we also would like to from you to complete a short feedback using a forms that you have already the link here. But I also will mention it at the end of the presentation. It's more about feedback and new innovative ideas. So this being said, I will stop sharing the screen. And also as a small introduction about not only about EC2U, but also about RI4C2 project, because it's a project that is funded through Horizon 2020, a project that was approved in 2021 and is being coordinated by University of Poitiers, by its representative, Professor Ludovic Tili. And also we are a part of this international project as well. So our colleague Dana and Eleanor from Vienna University are working in work package 5 on innovation sphere. So this is our 7th lecture. Virtual lectures have been 6 already organized in the past. I will give the floor to our colleague Catalin for his presentation. So first of all, thank you very much for accepting our invitation, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Iolanda, for your presentation. I was very keen to find out more about this project since it's my first time participating to one of your. So please keep me posted with any other, initiatives you do in this area of research, innovation. I would say innovation at work, more or less. So thank you very much. I'm representing here Faculty of Public Administration within the National University of Political Studies and Public Administration in Bucharest, Romania. And my focus of my research area is, was e-government. Then I switched it to smart cities, and then to applied science that will help cities and citizens to, I don't know, maybe to have a better life, or to increase comfort and stuff like that. However, my presentation as of today is mostly focused on education, and I will present you a project that we had in our university. I will share my screen. Is it possible to share my screen, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I will fully share my screen because I might need to also browse the internet for a while and to show you how the things are from my perspective, from our side. So this project started in 2021, just after COVID, and it was somehow like need to push further education. While in COVID, and I will try not to get too scientific on that, but still to provide you, some bit of a context in order to understand why we needed to kind of like improve the educational, the pedagogical, I would say better. The pedagogical way of delivering our courses. So before COVID, we all know we met students in a face-to-face format. We were giving them some papers, printed papers for studying, or books or whatever. That was the education, I would say, 1.0. Very beginning, or I would say even archaic, if not primitive way of delivering content to the students, of course, not to mention the professor student interaction, but somehow asynchronous. Then we switch it to using PPTs, documents, PDFs. Maybe that's education 1.5, and then we went to education 2.0, which is using maybe Moodle or any other learning management systems like Canvas, Blackboard, and so many others. Even Coursera, you might have heard of, or Get Smarter, which is mass online courses, open courses. That was the moment when COVID struck. We were in this second phase. And we had the students from March 2020 up to June 2020 using this platform. We were using Moodle. And we realized, I will come back to this slide. We realized that it's for being fully online, it's simply not enough. And I will present you briefly. You might be aware of how these things are anyway. So that's kind of a course. I will just make it a bit larger. I was providing to the students on the year when COVID struck. Of course, it's in Romanian, but it's enough for you just to follow a bit, the content, and you'll realize that there is some text, maybe some links to somewhere, to relate it to the content, or if they have some questions, they can address the questions here. It was something that we were relying on during and maybe a test. Okay, here it's just a sample of a test. But I would say, it was digitized and not digitalized. I mean, all of the content from the previous, analog format, from books and notebooks, were somehow scanned or somehow transferred into the digital world, but with no engagement from the student part. So at the very beginning of the year 2000, I will go back here a bit, 2022, 21 actually, we started to use Kahoot and Livres. Kahoot was I would say, rather old tool for education, but Livres was a new one. So we started to do this. I will just show you briefly one of the courses. Of course, it will still be my course for obvious reasons. We have here an assistant able to answer some questions. I will come back to this one because it's very interesting. It's a beta version though, however, but it's using an API from ChatGPT, and is able to answer questions and and stuff like that. So the students, it's not, it cannot, you know, browse the material fully. It doesn't have a PDF on his computer that it's that needs to be, you know, read, and he needs to somehow to push different buttons. For example, hardware. What is this? And he needs to press all the buttons, to spend a specific amount of time on each of the you know, tabs and buttons, and at the end also to answer some questions. I was answering that previously just for a test for this presentation. So he cannot, if he doesn't answer correctly, he cannot go further. You know, I will just choose the last one, not to be not to be already, you know, the question not to be already answered. So I cannot, if I'm not, as a student this time, if I'm not answering the questions, if I'm not reading all the information from the web page, the system won't allow me to, for example, let's see if I'm lucky enough. Of course, I won't spend too much time thinking on the right you know, answers. What's the, of course, so it should be CPU, motherboard, hard drive, and so that's somehow this kind of engagement is mandatory for the student to you know, be exposed to, in order to advance in the class. And that was, you know, those were like 14 different classes, each for each week during a semester. And of course, at the very end, the platform is able to somehow concatenate all the you know, the presence of the student on the platform, you know, how much time, how well he or she was answering to the questions, if she was able to, you know, read all the materials inside. I will just go back to somewhere. Let me find something which is, you know, if he or she was able to read all the information, and then it will have some sort of a grade. It's not the final one, but it shows the level of engagement. It presents to the professor the level of engagement of the student with the course material. So that and that happened for the, let me show, that happened for 6 other classes. Mine was on computer science, but I have another one on management here. Hopefully it's still working, my colleague. Yeah, and of course and the student, by the way, Dragos, was using some movies. I need to begin, of course, firstly. So there are some information that the students need to access in order to, you know, to proceed further and further and further. And if they don't, they simply cannot, you know, go anywhere further in the course material. So we had 2 different groups of students. The students that were, you know, during the COVID, using only Moodle, as I told you before, you know, just text with some files uploaded on Moodle. Files, I mean, you know, like docs and PDFs and stuff like that. And then we had the second group of students in the next year of next university year, roughly the same number. That was using Livresque, you know, that one which was much more, you know, engaging, I would say. And then we were comparing the results. They had the exams, or both group of students had the same exam, the same exam on Moodle, with a bunch of random questions extracted from a large bank of questions, for about 200 questions, and they were receiving 30 questions randomized for each exam. And so start from a statistical point of view, I'll just speak a bit about that. From a statistical point of view, it was relevant. That's how the platform was considering. This is how the platform was considering the exam as being difficult or not necessarily difficult. For us, was just, you know, weak to adequate discrimination. It means like the questions were not very difficult, but were not very easy either. And you know, the facility index F, it was somehow in between 35 and 65. You can see here on the graph, which means it's just about right for the average student. So they had 30 questions. Each and every one of the students had 30 questions, not necessarily the same questions. So it was, from a statistical perspective, it was a relevant exercise for us. And now what we discovered, it was like, you know, that was the very first group of students, those that were relying only on Moodle and on files uploaded on Moodle with little to no interaction to the professor. Of course, we had WebEx meetings, but the students were using, you know, they were keeping their camera off, or maybe they were just playing games or watching movies, whatever. So our assumption was that they, you know, the vast majority of them were not paying too much attention to the classes. Not to mention that most of them, I don't know, maybe I'm generalizing here. It was maybe only my case, only my course and my university. So maybe others might have had a different, more spectacular, I don't know, participation. But for my case, was like that. So even though the grades are not that high, I'm not very proud of that, but it somehow, from a statistical perspective, it shows, the reality. Well, the second group of students, so firstly, they had to follow the course material the way I was showing you just before, just like here. They had to, even if they were not you know, participating in classes, even if they were you know, studying in an asynchronous way, that web page was available for everyone, whatever the moment in time where they were deciding to study. So and we were counting all the, I would say, you know, metrics behind the platform. As I said, the time, and it was a time after 10 minutes, no interaction, the platform shut it down by itself. If they were able to, you know, to answer questions in a correct way, for example, like here, should I so I need to put this one first, and then looking for megabytes. It should have been kilobyte and stuff like that. So I need to, and the platform also measure how much time I'm spending in answering correctly. And if I don't answer correctly in a specific amount of time, it will redirect me to one of the chapters in order to, I don't know, to learn more. So what it's easy to see is that the grades now shifted, not too much though, however, but shifted from somewhere middle graph, middle chart to the right of it. We increased, we saw an increase of about 1 point out of 10 to the second group of students, those that were experiencing a more dynamic way of interacting with the content. I won't go to any statistics here. We were trying to understand more why it is happening and how. Of course, there are a lot of limitations. Some students might have better access to internet. Some students are much more familiar with the use of computers, while others might not be. And there are some things that could indeed also explain the differences, but just remember that we had two groups of students, like about 300 students each, and statistically it shows that there is something related to the course material, the way it was delivered, that actually helped the student to retain the knowledge better. So yeah, that was from the year of 2021, end of the year 2021. And now I will switch back to this one and to my assistant here, which is, yeah, as I said, it's some sort of in a beta version. The company that is building this software is a Romanian company. It's called Ascendia, and they are building this product, Livresc. And they recently, actually last year, had a partnership with Microsoft. And you might know Microsoft is a partner with OpenAI. And OpenAI, of course, everybody knows, they are developing ChatGPT. And through this connection, they were able to implement via an API a ChatGPT to the assistant. That means that the student can ask the assistant some sort of like a chatbot, but it's not, like a Q&A session or whatever. It's literally asking it. It's using the large language model of GPT-4. It's asking specific information regarding the course material. At the very beginning, the system will browse the materials, the course materials uploaded by the professor. It returns an answer to the student. If the answer is not satisfactory, then it goes to a specific list of references that are also uploaded by the professor. And in the case of, the second answer is still not satisfactory for the student, then it goes to the internet. Of course, it's saying to the students, it's making some sort of an announcement saying that, well, now I need to go, out and look for a better answer. So it will collect some information out of the internet and provide more details about that specific question. That's, as I said, that's in some sort of a beta. We are testing it. And we are testing it very successfully because last year, so I was telling you that we started with 6 classes that were 6 courses that were built it this way. But then we had a hackathon, and we were asking students to come and to design their own course together with one professor, and also together with team members from the company that is building Livresc. And we had 8 teams, so 24 students, 8 professors, and few guys from Ascendia who were helping us in building another 8 courses. And our intention, because they are so successful, both from the professor perspective, but also from the student perspective, our intention is to make this a yearly event and to have, to move all our classes from Moodle or whatever. Some other colleagues are using Google Classroom or whatever, to move it from that way to leave risk in order to, engage students more, because we literally saw quite a high difference in the values of the grades they receive. And we like to think that most of this value comes from the way the course material is delivered. It's much more engaging. That's why we say gamification. They compete one to each other. They have more points in this one. They have, less than that one. And there is some sort of competition among the students. Of course, you might know how Kahoot is working, and also a competition among the professors. It's not that visible though, but it's there, and we know it. So yeah, we are just trying to innovate in this area of education by this way. Yeah, that was my presentation. Hopefully it was, interesting enough for you to ask a lot of questions. So yeah, I'm here open to take any question you might have. So I will stop now Yep.
Thank you very much, Catalin, for the interesting presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. So if everybody agrees, we could move the question at the end of the presentation. So also our colleague Valentina Diana Rusu could present her thematic. So after that, Catalin, we'll go back to you to the interesting questions that I'm sure that my colleagues and myself will have related to the interesting software that you are using. So this being said, I will invite our colleague.
Okay, so thank you. Thank you. Hello, my name is Diana Rusu, and I'm a senior researcher at the Institute of Interdisciplinary Research from Alexandru and Cuza University of Iași. Together, I chose to present the topic entitled Sustainable Entrepreneurship as Pillar of Innovation. Innovation refers to accepting and implementing novel concepts or methods that enhance various societal features. It can take many forms, between which we chose to focus on the business models that prioritize sustainability. Therefore, for starting our discussion, we will start with the question, what is an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is someone who starts a business because he has identified a problem or has found a market gap or has developed a better solution to an existing method. We go further, please, with the next slide. Between an entrepreneur and a sustainable entrepreneur is a big difference. The difference comes from the fact that the sustainable entrepreneur is not only interested about the business profits, but also tries to think outside of the box, meaning the fact that it takes into consideration also the effects of its business to the society, to the environment, and to the economy. Going further, the sustainable entrepreneur thinks that also to what its business implication on three areas, like economic area, the environmental, and also to the society as a whole. Sustainability, it can be seen as an overall approach, like an integrative concept, and can be described as a triple bottom line model. Therefore, this model asks us to see beyond the traditional model of the business and ask us, to the next slide, please, and ask us to see what is the impact of our business to people, also to the planet, and also to the economy. The figure presented here has three circles. This figure presents the triple bottom line model. The three circles are equal, and this represents the fact that all of the three areas have a similar importance for the business model and also for achieving the goal of sustainability. In the center, we have the holistic sustainability, where the three areas are overlapping, and the others overlapping areas represent the relationship that exists between the three sustainability fields. Going further, please. Therefore, following, we will talk about each area in part. A environmental sustainable entrepreneur refers to the fact that the entrepreneur has to take into account the fact that it's important to conserve natural resources, to develop and try to find alternative sources of power, but also has to focus on climate protection, preservation of biodiversity, and also to reduce the pollution of the environment. A social sustainable entrepreneur, on the other hand, has to take into account both the impact of corporations on people and the societies. Besides this, he has to focus on fighting against poverty. To the next slide, please. Fighting against poverty, also to ensuring and maintaining a high standard of public health, to paying fair wages to all the employees, and also to provide equal opportunity for all the applicants. Here we can talk to equal opportunity regarding also the gender of the entrepreneur, because there are many studies that have focused on identifying how the entrepreneurship is obtaining profits when it's developed by a woman or a man. And many studies have shown that when a firm is managed by a woman, has fewer opportunities on the market and lower profits compared to the firms that are managed by men. Also, being a sustainable entrepreneur refers to that the entrepreneur has to acknowledge the minority rights, has to preserve cultural heritage, and to ensure integration of equity. So a social entrepreneur has to be sure that every generation has the opportunity to hold the earth in common. Every generation has the opportunity to use the natural resources offered. Therefore, in developing the business, an entrepreneur does not have to harm the planet. Going further, an economic sustainable entrepreneur has to adopt practices that support long-term economic growth, but also without negatively impact the social, environmental, and cultural aspects of the community. Besides obtaining economic value, an sustainable entrepreneur has to generate macroeconomic benefits and also to ensure stability, has to pursue qualitative growth, and also has to cover the basic needs of employees and stakeholders. In the same time, it has to take into account the external costs that could appear, such as environmental damage. As we can see nowadays, we have many unexpected environmental events like storms and rain and floods, and therefore an entrepreneur has to be prepared for this situation and to take into account in its aspects with the money that the cost that can appear. Therefore, every business decision will have an impact on the environment, and every entrepreneur has to take this into account and to be sure that its activity will not affect the environment. How to implement sustainable management in a business? We can question. A first step is to take into account the fact that the employees are valuable resources because they help the manager to work towards the business mission and help the business to achieve its objective. Therefore, an entrepreneur which is sustainable has to treat the employees fair, has to conclude contracts with fair conditions. Another step that can be taken is to incorporate a strong vision and mission from the beginning for keeping this company on a sustainable track. If the entrepreneur has designed strict objectives and focus on reaching them in the future, therefore its activity will be sustainable. The third step that could be implemented by a sustainable management is to shift to circular manufacturing. Today, we produce goods in a linear production process. Therefore, we obtain many waste. But to become sustainable, as entrepreneurs, we have to design products that are made to be made again. So we have to focus on the means of recycling. The fourth step is to avoid future financial liabilities. Therefore, we have to avoid the potential cost generated by the contaminating land cleaner. In the activity, the entrepreneur has to focus on developing ways of manage the waste they produce in their activity. The fifth step to ensure sustainable management is related to the fact that the production process should be designed on as sustainable as possible. Therefore, a sustainable entrepreneur will have to favor the domestic products instead of shifting to the production overseas. The sixth step in implementing sustainable management is to focus on how business partners have shared business values. Before finding, for example, a supplier, then a sustainable entrepreneur has to ask if there are any events known in which the supplier acted unethical, or what does he know about the company's culture that is cultivated. Because if it's not enough one entrepreneur to have a good company culture focus on sustainability. If our partners do not share the same values, there will be a disruption in the relationship, and therefore we will not manage to ensure sustainability. The seventh step is to prevent unnecessary waste. Here are different variants of solutions. Use less paper, distribute messages by email, or replace business trips with video conferences like we are having right now. The eighth step refers to use their regenerative energy. An entrepreneur that focus on being sustainable will try and will manage to use regenerative energy. Mainly because now the European Commission agenda is to help the entrepreneurs to use this regenerative energy, and there are programs in many European Union states that sustain and help the entrepreneurs, especially small and medium ones that face bigger problems, to use the regenerative energy by reducing some of the costs that they may have to support. The ninth step is to involve the community in the business, because by helping others, we bring values to helping others to bring values to the community. We will bring more growth opportunity from everyone. Even though I say, okay, I'm a small entrepreneur, how can I involve the community? By obtaining feedback from our clients, we can evolve and we can make a better business activity. As concluding remark, we can say that innovation with a focus on the original thinking and the dissemination of new ideas is essential to accomplish sustainability goals. Innovation and sustainability work together to strengthen one another. Innovation encourages sustainable practices, technology, and solutions, and also motivates the search for alternative strategies that lower resources consumption, cut down on waste, and lessen the impact on the environment. And the entrepreneurs may not have all the means that large corporations have, but still there are actions and small steps that can be initiated for reaching the sustainable goals of the 23 agenda. This presentation was somehow outside my area of expertise. Okay, I focus my research on entrepreneurship and on innovation and on obtaining performance. But going to the nowadays problems of the community of the environment, I thought that it will be interesting to see how, by using innovation and not only focusing on performance, but also to take into account the goals of sustainability, if this can be made for the entrepreneurs. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm waiting for your questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Valentina, for the presentation. So we will start our Q&A session. We will start with, again, with our colleague Catalin, for any additional questions that the members here from the audience have for him. So please just raise your hands and I will appoint you to ask the question. Okay,
I might have some questions for myself.
I also have some questions for you.
Please.
So. Okay.
Please.
I'm very interested because you presented the main difference between softwares like Moodle that we also use at our university, and somehow the students, the COVID period, they weren't so much engaged in using it because actually it was not that complicated to use, but it wasn't very, very interactive with them. So they just have to write down their answers and so on. Before we proceed to Teams and using different software, which were actually a little bit more suitable for online meetings. But what do you think was how LiveRisk usually try to gather the interest provided by students, because as we know, they lose focus very, very quickly. After 10 or 15 minutes, you have also to engage them. So actually it has to be something that they are doing in their own spare time. But at the same time, they also have to be engaged in the courses and by answering to the questions. How this engagement really happens, and how do you make them more active? So by using LiveRisk.
I will. I will firstly show you a different. 1 second to share. A different presentation that I have, and it's not a presentation. I know it's an answer to a question, and don't get. But here is the moment we launch our Moodle till the moment COVID strikes. So you can see here April or March, April 2020. So Moodle started from you know almost nothing. Here is probably more easy to see. That was an area of continuous growth, from 2015 to 2018, and then it plateaued. The tops are, during the semester, and this is the vacation time, and then COVID struck, and it went all the way up to 40,000 clicks. That was during the COVID and after the COVID. COVID stopped somewhere here, September 2021, but we still have a large number of users that are using the platform, because in this platform they can access the live risk. I resetted my previous engagement with the platform, so now you can have, I don't know, maybe a better understanding of how it works. I cannot go further, so I need to open this all and things like that, and being much more engaging, the graphs literally jumped, kind of like, I think I closed that presentation, but I have it here. Yeah, and I was presenting this one to one of the Livresque conferences in the Microsoft headquarters here in Romania, just to make them aware of how strong and powerful their software is. Of course, it needs a bit of adjustment because it's fully compatible with Moodle, so you can implement it. So you have the Livresque, you have Moodle, and you can make it one, if I can say so. Each of the weeks or each of the courses you have it on Moodle could bring information from the Livresque platform in such a way that the students will think literally that they are on Moodle. But of course, it's just kind of like a cover window that is shadowing somehow the Livresque, and they are active in Livresque, but on Moodle. And I think the number speaks for themselves. I mean, just see the COVID stopped somewhere here, 2021, as I said, September, and still in 2022, we had a huge number of, kind of like 70,000 roughly, accesses from students and whoever, like professors and, tutors and whatever. Yeah, I don't know how to make students aware of this. I think it's just a tool that might look like a toy. Just give it to them and let them play. Not to mention that if you engage them in building their own toy, they will be more engaged. So I suppose instead of getting bored after 15 minutes, we might have like 20 minutes. So we might gain like 5 minutes more. That's a lot. It's 33% of that's quite something. Or
okay. I also have some questions from the audience. I will start a little bit different. I will start with the last from Eleanor. If the assistant going to get additional tasks, more than answering questions, is he also providing motivation and social value? I would love to interact and test it.
At the very it's a beta, as I said. It's we are just testing it yet. So now it only has access to the materials that the professors is uploading, because we don't want to, there is this kind of hallucination, whatever. So if you will allow the chatbot to go wild in the internet, it might come up with some answers that are not necessarily fitted to the context or maybe to the subject. But if you, as a professor, if you give him a bunch of texts or links to specific texts, like some, articles, scientific articles, and you say that you just rely on that one. So don't go further with other links and other texts and so on. Mm-hmm. I would say it's a very rigid assistant. It will simply answer precisely in a way to the questions you ask. It's not yet, and I don't know if the company is willing to invest in that. It's not kind of like a friend you chat with, because this costs. You need to pay tokens. And tokens are like a small part of the words, and you by your input window, you send a number of tokens, and they are monetized, and the chatbot is answering with a specific number of tokens, also monetized, and those costs. And it tends to be quite expensive. And if you allow students to go wild, the costs might increase with no real value to the education itself. As for the time being, maybe when this will be so cheap that everybody will use it like on the daily basis, it could be more, it will have more freedom, but now it's not that much freedom. But it's a beta, as I said. It's still on beta.
Okay, please, Eleonora.
Yeah, when in EC2U, we also have the career plan certificate. It's working with Moodle. And I think that it's not on a specific time period, but very students can start and complete it whenever they want. So it's a bit lonely there, I guess, for the students. We have fora, but it's not, it's not that interactive, not a feeling of community, perhaps. So for me, I asked the question because it would be nice if there is someone saying, welcome, nice that you're here. And then it does not need to be very deep AI, but maybe some, I can see that. Oh, thanks for asking.
I don't know if you know about Synthesia. There is it's a startup. Of course, most of the startups that are on the AI are in US, in San Francisco area. Anyway, so that they started there. And this Synthesia, you can browse it on the internet. Doesn't make any sense for me to do it now. But it has an avatar, which might be someone that looks like someone you like to have as partner, or seller, or whatever, and it's building its own image from the cookies that's reading from your computer. For example, you are browsing different pictures on Facebook or on Instagram, and so you like specific types of persons, and this avatar, it will look as the perfect person you would like to interact with. And then it's enriched with ChatGPT capabilities, so you can speak voice to voice with a person, which is more or less quite realistic, I would say. You need to have some sort of imagination to realize that that person is not a real person, it's just a computer image, whatever. But this technology is just the very beginning. So, and you will interact with it the way you interact with ChatGPT now, or with Siri or Alexa, or pretty much. But those technologies at the moment are very expensive. I have some very, strong doubts that it will be implemented in education at the time being, but they are very much in use for selling, because you know the profile of the buyer, so you send him a seller that is much more appropriate to the person he will be open to buy from. It's maybe he likes blonde girls, so it will have a blonde avatar saying, this product is very nice and you might need it, and he is very sensible to that, so he might buy that. It's very good for selling. Also, it's very good for, aviatic companies, for fly companies, because sometimes people tend to be very aggressive when they lose their flights or stuff like that, and they need a person that is always smiling, that always compelling, and tend to solve the problem, not to increase the emotion, the stress. So it's also very, very, very useful. But that's a business. It's a lot of money involved in that one. But I think technology will slowly, but it will get to education as well. The same it was for, I don't know, Excel or PowerPoint or Word or any other technologies that 20 years ago we were not using it, but now we are using it, broadly. And I think it will be the same, more or less, in the next couple of years, maybe less than a decade. And that's my hopes. Those are my hopes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, please, Adriana, you have raised your hand, and you also have a question in the chat.
Yeah, it was a general one for the participants, but now I was thinking when Catalin was talking about creating avatars from all the images and so on, if such a software could be used to train students for interviews. For example, use, let's say, avatars of maybe company managers and so on, so that they train and don't panic and don't be so stressed or something like this. Would it be possible?
Yes. Let me show you if a video that it's why not literally show you how this system works, and you will see it with your own eyes. I forgot to turn the volume on. So yeah, this is yeah, you cannot. It's only for me. So this is some kind of. I don't know if you hear something.
No.
No, because I forgot to. Is there something I can do in order to just one small second to yeah, share computer audio. Yeah, now you will also have the information. You have sound? Okay.
No, still not.
So you will.
Hey, I'm Julia, one of over 160 AI avatars available in Synthesia. In a few clicks, you can create a free video just like this one. See for yourself and try it out today.
Did you have the sound?
Yeah.
Also? So
Yes.
you can have I will stop it. Where is you can have an avatar like this. That is, it could be your doctor. Of course, it's not a real person, but it's a friendly face that will be very optimistic. Could be your professor. And each and every one of us will have a different professor speaking on its own language, both like different language, Romanian, English, French, Italian, whatever, but also the way we speak, what moves me in a way, what I like the most. And that's a matter of time. And as I said, behind that, they operate on ChatGPT. So it's just, you know, kind of like a, you know, real talk, I would say, between two persons, of course, and they almost pass the Turing test. You need to be very specific to actually see if it's a robot or not. And yeah, I'm a bit concerned about some ethical issues here, because they might convince you doing some things that you actually don't want, but because it's nice, you accept. Even if, so you might be some sort of a victim of some sort of manipulation out of those very smart and intelligent systems that they know everything about us. They know more than we know sometimes about us. But yeah, that's where the society, the IT world is pushing, is moving. Yeah, we have Sora, another AI model that is building videos, and yeah, and we should. I mean, that's my point of view. We should bring that to education as well. Firstly, because we make students aware of this kind of like risks, you know, and also, you know, try learning, teaching them how to use them, so to be more aware. And yeah, there are tools, you know, the pencils and the notebooks are replaced by, you know, tablets, mobile phones, and avatars and ChatGPT. It's just a tool, more or less. Very sophisticated though, but still a tool.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very
sorry,
much.
I speak too much.
No worries. So I would like to thank our presenters, to thank Catalin and Valentina for their presentation, and also our colleagues from Iena University, Eleanor and Dana, with all the provided help. And also I would like to thank our colleagues who managed to organize this Victor lecture. So I'm speaking here about our colleague Adriana Zait. And also to our colleagues from RI4C2 and from our partners who are always with us. So thank you very much, Jorge. Thank you very much for all your support, Pauline, and I mean every university who were able to attend today, so I do not have to mention all of you. So thank you very much for participating. I will give the floor to Adriana, so to some conclusion or I don't know, closing remarks.
Well, thank you. Thank you all for being here. It was good to go through all these 7 stairs or 7 steps of virtual lectures on innovation. We moved through all sorts of subjects, through circularity and sustainability and educational issue, and both tangible and intangible ones. And I'm pretty sure that all these ideas can be used by each of us. And we will definitely remember the best practices that we've seen for our partners. And as Dana said, I think this is the strength of such a network, of such an alliance of universities and teams and colleagues and invited guests and so on. And I dream that one day we will slowly enlarge and enlarge, and with all our guests we will become kind of a very general network in which we will be able to connect with everyone and have this, you know, creative brain and soul that will unite us and make us better. So thank you very much, and see you along the way.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great words, Adriana.